Hello YouTube, how are you guys doing? Before we get into today's video, let me say that for those of you guys who commented on my last video, thank you. I got a lot of really sweet messages, and I appreciate that, and that's all I'm going to say about that right now. So today again, I don't know if you guys, maybe you guys haven't been with me that long, but a couple of years ago I did a video where I talked about all the new iterations of gay flags, and I was trying to guess, based off of just seeing the flag for the first time, what the flag stands for, what the point of the flag is, etc., etc. And today again, we're talking about flags. Flags are fun. Is that a Big Bang Theory quote? Or did I just make that up? I don't know. Fun with flags. That's Big Bang Theory. Yep, so we are in the gayest month of the year. Woo! You know, pride, pride, pride. We all have to really take pride in who we decide to sleep with and be attracted to. So important to have pride in that. But I actually was thinking more... I'm a little bit behind in the game because I know a lot of other YouTubers and pundits have already commented on the newest iteration of the pride flag with like the umbrella on it and everything going on. Everyone was commenting about how ugly it is, and it is very ugly. However, I personally have to say I thought the original pride flag was already kind of ugly and tacky. I mean, like, I get the aesthetic of a rainbow, and a rainbow in and of itself is very cute. But as you guys can see from my sweater, I'm definitely more of a fan of pastels and very, very bright colors. Just would not be aesthetically pleasing to me. So I never thought the pride flag was aesthetically pleasing anyway. But, you know, I already talked about the fact that there was a time in the gay movement where the pride flag was very important. You know, when it first came out as a symbol, I think it was in the late 70s or something like that. And very niche, actually, gay businesses, gay bookstores, gay clubs, gay bars, you know, would put that symbol in their door or in their window. It actually did show this was a safe space, you know, or people would, before everybody knew what the pride flag was, you know, gay men, lesbians, bisexual people, maybe they would wear it somewhere as like a... I remember when I was like first aware of it, I had bought like a necklace that had like a little gay like beads on it, gay flag, but it was like, because it was so niche at that time still, the only other people who would have picked up on it were other gay people, right? So it actually was a way of communicating with other people who were on the inside and knew about it. Where now everybody wears gay flags, and like all those young queer people and all the gender people and all of the other letters are all walking around with gay flags, and it's become a completely meaningless symbol because it doesn't mean anything anymore, which is the definition of meaningless. We're doing really great today, again. Yeah, but you know, it is 2024, and we now have yet a even more inclusive, doing a lot of bunny ears, I told myself to stop doing that, flag. And a lot of pundits have talked about it, as I already said. But the one thing that I think nobody has really mentioned is if we look, and I'm going to include pictures here, if we look at the different iterations of the pride flag, and the original pride flag was a symbol of lesbians, gays, and bisexuals. With every single iteration, you see an increasing pushing out of the LGB, to the point where it's like the LGB is the smallest portion of the LGB flag. Literally all the other letters, whatever they are, the T and the I and the Q and the F and the R and the T and the 17 and the up and the down and the hashtag and whatever, they've literally pushed us out of our own movement and our own flag. We are now like just a fraction of our own flag. And it's just so weird to me to, when you literally look every single iteration, how you can literally visually see the shift. First it was, so let's look at them really quick. So we have the original pride flag, and then the next iteration with the black and brown, which that made no sense. Even the trans stuff made a little bit more sense to me if you're hitching that onto our bandwagon. But I'm like, what does black and brown and POCs and whatever, what does that have to do with, that was already, that there's black gay people, there's brown gay people, there's Asian gay people, there's Middle Eastern gay people. We've always, since the beginning of time, come in all different colors. I don't understand why now we have to include these stripes, especially since in turn the BLM movement, the civil rights movement, they don't include us in their flag. They don't like black and brown groups, you know, let's be real here. I know it's come one of those things where we now have to pretend that black and brown people are better and nicer and smarter and everything because it's the more woke and politically correct thing to say nowadays, and white people are just all these stupid Neanderthals and horrible people. But the black and brown communities tend to be a lot more homophobic than the white communities. So they're not representing us. So I don't understand why we had to put them on our flag. But so we put them on our flag, and it pushed the LGB more, and then all of a sudden we had to put intersex, which I think was only done because a lot of current day leftists like using the intersex as a way to try to legitimize transness. Because anytime you try to talk any actual science and, you know, logic with these crazies on the left nowadays, when it comes to this whole trans stuff, they always at some point in time like to say, well, what about intersex people? Intersex people are proof. And I'm kind of like, you're not intersex. That is a completely different thing. That is a medical condition. Trans people are not intersex. It's not an intersex issue. It is a completely different thing. And intersex has nothing to do with being gay or lesbian whatsoever. It's a medical condition. But, you know, trans people and the leftists try to like use intersex as like a defense of transness because, like, I don't know, maybe they're seeing it like first there's cis and then there's intersex and then trans, and it's kind of like in their head they think that's kind of like the middle area, and I'm like, nope, that's a completely different thing that does not legitimize transness. But yeah, so anyway, so then they had to add intersex, and that pushed it even further. Pushed the LGB out even more. Then all of a sudden we had to add that weird umbrella because we had to include sex workers. You guys know I already get really upset about how overly sexualized the gay community is. To some degree I can understand it because the issue of wanting equality within the gay and lesbian community is based on our sexuality. So it makes sense to some degree that we always have to keep the concept of sex there because we are saying we are sexually attracted to the same sex and not the opposite. So it is a movement of sexuality versus, you know, women's right movement, which is one of, you know, gender or biological sex, or the civil rights movement, which is one of race. You know, our movement is based off of sexual preference. So I understand that to some degree we cannot completely separate sexuality from gays and lesbians and bisexual movement. I think we've really overdone it, and we've made it so gross and trashy in the way we've done it. I don't think that was necessary. But to now also include sex workers, I'm just kind of, again, it's like we're trying so hard to be liberated, and what we're really doing is just making ourselves look so trashy and gross. What do sex workers have to do with, or sex work have to do with being gay or lesbian? Nothing. I would even argue there's probably more heterosexual sex workers in the world than there is homosexual, since probably the vast majority of sex workers is heterosexual females. So I don't know, but again, even less room for the LGB. And then now we have this newest iteration, and it is just, first of all, it's like somebody went on a psychedelic queer LSD trip or something. Like, it's just horrible to look at, and just like all of the, like, the umbrella and the super circle, and all, it's just so over the top. And more than anything, you can see, like, we're literally just like hanging on. We're like the LGB. We're just hanging on by a cliff in our own the movement that we started, the movement that we created for our liberation, and we're now literally being pushed out of it, which I just think is absolutely crazy. But yeah, what do you guys think? Will you be hanging up the newest iteration of the pride flag, or any of the other versions? Is there a version that you prefer? Which one do you prefer, if you prefer one? Do you even like any of them at all? Do you support them? Do you use them? Do you have little stickers in your house or in your car? How do you feel about this issue? Do you think this is just more inclusive and so it's a good thing, or do you think it's become completely ridiculous? For me, obviously, I'm more of the latter. I don't understand what all these extra letters have to do with the gay and lesbian and bisexual movement, because these are all not sexualities anymore. This is all just kinds of craziness, and it just makes us look even more like weirdos than we already do to a lot of people. So chime in, put your comments, let me know, and have a great Pride Month.